Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I know you're tuning in from many different parts of the world, so thank you very much for making it. Welcome back to those of you who have already joined us in some previous sessions, while an even warmer welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. My name is Mario De Pinto. I will be your host today throughout the webinar, and I am joined by Nico, Janssen, Naoya, Otsuka, and Giovanna Sandrini, who will soon be engaging in an insightful roundtable discussion. Now, before we start, let me share some details with you. First of all, I would like to extend a big and special thank you to Aquafil for spearheading this initiative, which is part of an even bigger one called the ECONYL Academy. The ECONYL Academy is a resource platform to talk about ideas, best practices, industry benchmarks, and many other interesting and relevant topics as a way to always push the boundaries to do things better for our planet and its people. This particular webinar is presented in collaboration with Diesel Consulting, which is a management advisory firm specialized in strategy, storytelling, and skills. Now, allow me to introduce Giovanna Sandrini, Chief Communication Officer at Aquafil, Nico Janssen, Business Development Director at Object Carpet, and Naoya Otsuka, Manager of New Business Development at Asahi Kasei Corporation. This was the initial round of presentations. I will leave the floor to Giovanna, who will share some insights on the essential role of partnerships in advancing sustainability goals before diving into the conversation with Nico and Naoya. Giovanna, thank you again for being here, and the floor is yours. See you later at the end of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on which part of the world you are joining from. I truly appreciate you being here today. One of my favorite saying is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is why I'm so excited today to discuss something that truly embodies this philosophy and is deeply meaningful to me, to Aquafil, and to our entire industry: the power of partnership in driving sustainability. In our rapidly changing world, where challenges are big and complex, companies can work to reduce their environmental impact on their own. But the real progress happens when we join forces. At Aquafil, we understood this early on. Since launching our ECONYL nylon in 2011, we have built strong partnership to extend circularity from raw materials to finished products, striving to create both environmental and social impacts. As part of our Born R2R, which means Born Regenerated to be Regenerable program, we are working with our clients to design carpets that can be entirely disassembled and recycled at the end of their useful life, all made with ECONYL yarns. Products developed under this program feature a distinctive logo, making them easily recognizable along the supply chain and helping consumers make responsible choices. We have set an ambitious target for the initiative to collaborate with 50% of the selected manufacturers by 2025. So far, we have identified 30 customers and 37% have already joined us in various stages of implementations. The Toko Collection, a collaboration between Aquafil, PBA, Rainlight Studio, Key Sargent, and the University of Venice, IUAV, took things a step further. Through this project, we championed environmental and social responsibility by catering to neurodiverse needs, all while featuring a design made also with ECONYL chips, optimized for easy disassembling and recycling. These two projects are a sign that partnerships do more than just reduce our environmental footprint. They spark innovation, streamline our supply chains, and build the trust that today's consumers demand. That's why working together is not just a good idea, it's a must. Of course, as we strive for bigger milestones, we also face challenges, whether it's overcoming recycling logistics or ensuring consumers understand and value sustainable innovations. We need ongoing dialogue, investment, and education. That is exactly why we are here today with our partners Object Carpet and Asahi Kasei, together with Nico Janssen, Business Development Director at Object Carpet GmbH, and Naoya Otsuka, Manager of New Business Development at Asahi Kasei Corporation. We will drive into our collaboration and the power of partnerships. But first, I'll hand it over to them to introduce themselves and their companies. So please, Nico, can you start with your presentation?
Yeah, thank you for the intro. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, of course, for our friends from Asia. Great to have an opportunity to present Object Carpet and our cooperation with Aquafil, which already goes back for quite a while, I would say. My name is Nico Janssen. I'm responsible for anything related to circularity and our new Niaga technology at Object Carpet. Who are we? Well, when you look for high quality design driven carpets for commercial spaces, then please think of us, because that's our world. That's what we're good at. And that's what we have done already for a few decades. The company was founded already early 70s in Germany. So on this slide, on the bottom left, you see our headquarters in Denkendorf, which is very close to Stuttgart. And over time, we have built a very strong reputation in the market for, well, basically combining aesthetics. Of course, carpet needs to look nice, and I think we have very nice design capabilities in the company. We combine that with, of course, great functionality. The durability of a carpet needs to be great, and the acoustic performance needs to be good. And last but not least, sustainability has always been part of our DNA. And these elements, basically, they form the pillars of our strategy of the company. So carpet is our world, and architects, designers, and commercial building owners, they are the prime customers that we serve in the market. Yeah, so that's a bit of a background to the company. In today's introduction of the company, I'd like to spend a few words on the topic of eco-design, because we believe that is the starting point of any sustainable carpet. And I think Aquafil will agree with my statement that you cannot close any loop for materials when you do not produce your carpet designed for recycling from the beginning. And when I say design for recycling, I mean high value recycling, like Aquafil is doing. I'm not talking about downcycling in all kind of other applications. And I don't think that many people know that if you look into conventional carpets, so if you look at the floor, if you have carpet right now in your office, for instance, the amount of materials used in a carpet is high. So just an average carpet will contain at least 10 different type of materials, and typically going up to 20 to 25. And I think you can imagine that if you like to recycle such a hybrid composition consisting of more than 20 different ingredients, that it's almost impossible at the end of life to separate all these materials in a high value way. And as a consequence, because of that difficult mixture of materials, basically most of the carpet right now is ending up, unfortunately, in incineration. It's being burned instead of really recycled in the right way. Of course, that's not the route we want to take for the future. And that's also the reason why Object Carpet has radically redesigned its production process and its products in such a way that our carpet only consists of two different, or in some cases one, in some cases two different type of materials. And on the slide on the top right, by the way, you see part of our production. That's in Krefeld. That's not far from the Dutch border. And there you see a part of our very innovative Niaga technology, which is a very efficient way of producing carpet, where you only use very limited amount of materials. Wait, let me see if I can go to the next slides. Here you go. What you see here is an example of what we call our duo product design, which is only using two material families. So we use high quality ECONYL polyamide yarn on the top side of the carpet, and we use polyester fibers in the backing of the carpet. And they are bonded together by an innovative polyester adhesive in the middle. So instead of 20 ingredients in a traditional carpet, we go back to two different materials. And the nice thing is that in between layer, that adhesive in the middle, when you heat it up, you basically can unclick the top side from the bottom side. So basically the polyamide goes in one direction, the polyester in the other direction. And of course, enabling then a closed loop for these two different materials. So a very clean product design. Well, I also personally like, wait, I don't know. This one. What I personally like on this slide, sometimes it's also good to show what is not in a product, and therefore I like to show this one, because as our carpet is free from any additives like PVC, bitumen, flame retardants, glass fiber, fillers, or any other harmful chemicals, the product design is not only recyclable, but it also supports clean indoor air quality. And therefore also protecting the health of the people working in an office or living in their homes. So it's clean, it's healthy, and it's fully recyclable. That's the combination we're looking for. Yeah, that's in a nutshell who we are and what we stand for. So beautiful carpets, great performance, and eco design for closing the loop. Thank you for having the chance to introduce ourselves.
Thank you, Nico. And now, Naoya, please, if you can share with us your small introduction. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Naoya Otsuka from Asahi Kasei, which is based in Japan. And I can see some of the Japanese actually joined this seminar, so I'm happy to see that, even though this is a European company seminar. But I think many of you might not know about Asahi Kasei because we are based in Japan and Asia. And so I'm a little bit about explaining about what is Asahi Kasei about. Firstly, then I will explain about what our products for. So firstly, as you can see in a world map, our main business area is Japan and Asia, but you can see also the United States as well as Europe. And we have a European headquarters in Germany, Düsseldorf. And I would like to briefly introduce the three key numbers about Asahi Kasei. So firstly, we founded 1922, which means that we are more than 100 years old as a company. So we based in chemical technologies. Still, we have many business areas like homes and healthcare, but we developed many chemical technologies for 100 years. And second point is that our employees, number of employees is 50,000 all over the world. And 40 of them are based in overseas. So we have many branches all over the world, including Europe. And lastly, as you can see there, how we develop our sales and operating income from the bar chart. And our recent revenue is 20 billion US dollars. So I can say one of the biggest chemical company in Japan and Asia. So as the next slide, I will explain about what we doing with Aquafil. So our product is polyamide with CNF or carbon nanofibers. And we use the ECONYL as the best resin for polyamide. And we compounded the CNF with cellulose nanofibers. And then we use this material for 3D printing. So I will explain about why we use the CNF and also what is a major characteristic. And the next slide, you can see the cotton rinter in the centers. So in general, CNF is coming from the wood or plant, but we use a cotton rinter as a feedstock. And a cotton rinter is coming from the byproduct of making cotton seed oil, which means a waste. So I can say it is non-edible or non-food competing. And our company have many businesses related with cotton rinters. We actually produce a fiber, so we have many know-how and technology related with the cotton rinter. So we use this material as a feedstock for CNF. And the reason why we use this CNF for 3D printing is that two reasons. Firstly, the high heat resistance. So generally, the polyamide requires a higher, heat resistance because they use usually 20 to 150 degrees. So general CNF from wood cannot use in this application, but our CNF is strong enough for the temperatures, so we can use it. And secondly, this CNF gives this a chistotropic property. So as a filament, it's prevent the door down as well as the uniform diameters. And also process for 3D printing, there for advantages for the good formabilities and high module accuracies and smooth surface, and lastly, the excellent mechanical property. But I just pick up one characteristic of the reason why we should use CNF. So as you can see the pictures, the layer adhesion is better thanks to the CNF. So in general, FDM 3D printing is printed one by one. So it is very important to connect each other by each layers. As you can see on the right hand, the polyamide carbon fiber 20% has a hollow, which means a kind of small hole. So it affects the mechanical property and also, the appearance as well. But our CNF doesn't have much hole, so it means that it's connected to each other. So it gives a better, mechanical property and also gives a very beautiful surface. So lastly, I will explain or show some of the material we use. So this is a 3D printing object, and you can see the many objects, and also even a curve or shape, so we can use it by 3D printing. This is, our unique property by using this, material. So thank you very much for giving me an introduction.
Thank you, guys. It was very interesting to see both of your businesses, so very different, but with one aim. I'd start with some questions for you. The questions are for both of you. So let's start with Nico first and then Naoya. The first question I have for you is, what do collaborations mean to you? And why do you think they are important for driving sustainability in your industry? So, Nico.
What does partnerships mean to us? I think what the transition we're going to right now, trying to go from linear to circular, means a lot in terms of the need for cooperation. Because in the, let's say, the traditional linear world, as a company, you could produce products, sell them, and then it's over, right? Then you're done, and then basically that's when you have earned your money, and then everything is fine. Of course, this is not what we aim for in a circular world, where we say, well, we would like to see our products back at the end of life and make sure that we do great new stuff with it. Because if you want to realize that, then of course all kind of complexities and new things come up. And just look at object carpet. We are very good in designing and producing carpet in a high value way, but our expertise, of course, is not in logistics, for instance, making sure that products come back. Our expertise is not in recycling. Our expertise is not in software for digital product passport building, for instance. And so if you really want to close the loop and make sure that indeed this is going to work in an efficient way, then you will need to partner very closely with the people that have these competences that we don't have. And I see the relationship with Aquafil a similar one, where you guys, you have a lot of experience with polymerization of polyamides, and now also with depolymerization. That's really chemical know-how where we really do not have a lot of expertise within our company, but we are hugely complementary in what we do, because you cannot do without us, because if we don't design our products in a decent way, you will not be able to recycle them in the future. So as a value chain, you really need to work together to make that closed loop work. So that's for me the essence of partnerships, making sure that that ecosystem is being built, and that we, as a corporation, are able to close the loop of materials.
Absolutely, we are absolutely aligned. And what about you now, Naoya?
Yeah, my answer is also similar, but we can go further by this partnership. And also, for me, like a partnership should be a kind of a complementary relationship, but both companies should have look at the same directions in sustainable ways in this way. So we have a CNF from bio-based feedstock, but we don't have a chemical recycle or material recycle based polyamide. But in this case, Aquafil has a recycled chemical recycled polymer, which is a perfect combination for us. So we can provide the 3D printing applications as a material, so which gives a best polymer is a chemical recycling, and the compounding CNF is coming from bio-based. That is a kind of ideal solution to the 3D printer applications, because the 3D printing itself is a kind of sustainable way. They can eliminate the heat consumptions and also some processes, but still the material itself is not sustainable. But once we make a partnership with Aquafil, then we can propose more sustainable material to the 3D printing applications. So that is why this is a huge impact to our companies. Yeah.
Thank you, Naoya. I think that our partnership with the both of you is really, important and probably kind of an example in the market. As you mentioned, we need to work together, because only if eco-design, and this let me introduce the next question for both of you, is becoming crucial. Eco-design, I think, is fundamental. For you guys, eco-design became crucial in your business. For Object Carpet, it was a natural evolution for a decade-long collaboration. Yes, we are partnering with Object Carpet for so many years, leading to the R2R project. Why? Asahi Kasei saw ECONYL nylon as the perfect ingredient to make its 3D printing filament fully circular. Could you share how our partnership have evolved and what its impact has been on your products and objectives? Please, Nico.
I think it has been an evolution over time, and I think a quite logical evolution over time. I think the first time that Object Carpet talked with Aquafil about ECONYL as a yarn was somewhere back in 2008, 2009, so already quite a while ago. And I would say that's phase one, where basically we were seeing ECONYL as a sustainable raw material for our products, right? You could finally say, hey, the raw materials we're using do not consume any crude oil. They come from a recycled source. And that's, of course, improving the sustainability profile of our product. So basically, we saw the product as input, and it was one way. It was one way Aquafil supplying to us, and we basically being able to commercialize beautiful products with that material. I think we're now, we just are now in phase two, I would say, where that one way goes into a two-way direction. Because eventually, of course, we don't just want to buy recycled content, we want to supply recycled content to Aquafil, so you can regenerate that material and it goes into a second loop or even third loop or fourth loop over time, right? That's of course the ambition that we're having. So as I mentioned, that eco-design that we made with just using two materials gives us the opportunity to also make sure there's a two-way direction in the future, where again, we source from Aquafil, but we're also able to return used carpets back to Aquafil for reuse in a second and third cycle. And then eventually, and for me, that's also the route we should go in the years to come, is that we also make sure that the product we now sell into the market is also physically coming back in a few years from now. And carpet is a bit more complicated than packaging, because if you sell plastic packaging into the world, you know that within half a year that product comes back because it's used within, typically a few minutes. With carpet, that's different. It's a very durable product. So any beautiful product we sell today will only come back to us in a year of 10 from now. So we need to make sure that within that period, we'll make sure there's a whole return infrastructure built so that the carpets come back and find their way also back to Aquafil. And I think there's close cooperation needed between Object Carpet and Aquafil, and also logistical partners to make that happen. So that's would be my answer. It's a kind of three-step approach where I think we getting closer and closer in making sure that this circle is going to work in real life.
And what about you, Naoya?
Yeah, as you mentioned, the ECONYL is a kind of missing part to us. So our CNF is a bio-based, but the polyamide is in general like a petrol-based, but we can supply the ultimate, sustainable material to the 3D printing, which is quite unique. So the impact to us is a kind of, we got some inquiries. We can also show the more business opportunity under the discussions. And also this material can be lower carbon footprint. And one thing to add is that our polyamide CNF is better for material recycling. So base polyamide is a chemical recycling, which is no mechanical damage by the recycling process. That is better for us as users. The after compounding, the CNF is strong enough or not so much decrease compared with the carbon fibers or glass fibers. So it means that our polyamide CNF itself is also better for using the material recycling. So that is also another part of our object. So we can provide not only just the beginning, but also after the use, that is also more sustainable material by this collaboration. So which means that it gives more discussion internally and externally to what kind of sustainable solution to us. That is also a different perspective to give a impact to our company.
Okay, Aquafil is the one producing, the ingredient. And for us, our ingredient, being a chemical recycled one, was circular per se. The important step we did was to create a strong partnership, because we are not the ones producing the final products. We are the ones just providing the ingredients. And so partnership, as you said, means cooperate and eco-design products differently with the end in mind. So I think we are really, really much aligned. And about my third question, what do you think are the biggest challenges businesses are facing when collaborating with others? Could you share some examples from your experience? I have tons of examples, but please, Nico, tell me yours.
I think the starting point of any healthy relationship, I think that's business-wise, but also privately, let's start business-wise. I mean, strategically, there needs to be an alignment really on the direction, right? I think the company philosophy of Object Carpet, where we are really serious about the topic of circularity. So we go well beyond the marketing part, and we really are putting this in action in real life in our products and in our products process. We saw already at early stage that fits very well with the strategic direction of Aquafil, because you are also very, very serious about what you're doing. And by the way, you have also decided you're not only going into the recycling and the marketing story, but for instance, you already have initiatives for carpet take back, for instance, in the US, for instance. And so you take it one step further. You take actions which not a lot of people take. That makes you a front runner. And I think we are a front runner with the eco design that we have put in the market recently. And that's kind of the strategic alignment you need. You need to work with people that have the same ambition level, because otherwise one of the two gets frustrated, right? Because if the one is more conservative or more defensive with certain approach and the other one wants to go ahead, well, for sure that will not work. So for me, that's the strategic alignment part, which is of course very, very important. The other one is transparency, and that's a famous word being used many times. But in reality, if you are partnering, you need to open up and you need to share. Because if you keep all your information too close to yourself, also that will not work, because you miss all kind of synergies between two parties. And I think we are, as Object Carpet, we are in the lucky position that, because we have a few really innovations that we like to protect, and because typically people don't like to share things, they are afraid of that others will steal them or competition will take them away or whatever, so they lose their competitive edge. in our case, we're lucky that a lot of the innovations we have done have been protected by patents. And so there is kind of a protection of the core know-how that we have, which makes it very easy for us to be very open to anybody in the market about the things we're doing, because the essentials have been protected. And for the rest, we can be very transparent and open to our partners about the things we're doing. So actually, we don't have a lot of secrets at this point. Also, the product design that we have shown, we are very transparent also to our competitors about the materials we're using, because we actually would like the others to start using a similar model as well. So these are typically two. Yeah, and the third one, but that's more the soft part, is about chemistry between people, right? And that's hard to define, I would say. But in any relationship, you already see pretty early in a stage whether there is that chemistry, and you feel like, hey, we can jointly really create 1 + 1 is 3, because that's the whole idea of a partnership, right? That you create synergies, and that means people need to click and need to enjoy cooperation with each other. So yeah, these are kind of the elements I would say fit in a good partnership.
Absolutely. And about you, Naoya?
Yeah, there are many challenges, but Nico really covered very well. So I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna pick it up the example of kind of communications, specifically when we start the as an Asian companies or Japanese company, and partnership with a European company. That is a huge gap in terms of the corporate cultures or language or even mindset, way of thinking. So once we start a conversation, when we with a similar visions, but it's as the communication starts, it gives a little bit gap. So once we didn't realize that there's a gap, it getting bigger. So we need to align sometimes. We're back to the basic. Then what is our visions? What is our purpose? Then what we are doing for that. So that is a kind of alignment is very important. So once we didn't realize that there is a gap, then we have a kind of different assumption. Then partnership couldn't occur. So we, how do I say, we should kind of assume that even though we have a communication well, but we have sometimes a different assumption or way of thinking, then we need to observe, is there any gap or not? Then we need to, overcome the challenges. So yeah, that is there, what I want to add.
Yes, it's true, because if you don't communicate, if you are not open, as also Nico said, and so share what the challenges, what the difficulties, it's very, very difficult to move on and to find the right way to face all the challenges that our industry pose, but also other industries. Because let's remember, and I talk from my side, that what is waste for you can become a raw material for me. So also other supply chains where we are not included in with our own products can be really good partnership. So it's an open world when we talk about sustainability. And now, we start from you and then Nico. So
Maria, may I have one addition, because I like the earlier comment about the moment you have setbacks in your relationship, and that's, I think any relationship should also be built on a certain level of flexibility. So being too rigid in what you want to achieve or how you structure your cooperation, I personally don't believe in that, because the world is so dynamic, and we have some recent examples with Object Carpet where you made a certain agreement in month 1, and in month 2 suddenly the world has changed quite a bit because of certain dynamics in the market. And then you come back to the chemistry, but it's also about the certain agility that you need to have in that relationship, that the moment there are setbacks, that you really think from the cooperation and not just from yourself. Because if you just look at yourself, in many cases, in these kind of difficult situations, you will grow apart. So making sure that you really think in a win-win together, and when there are setbacks, that you think creatively about options and solutions, I think is a very important building block indeed.
Absolutely. Thinking out of the box is mandatory. in this business of circularity
Yeah.
and openness, of course, transparency. So something that was probably not part of the linear economy where everybody was just thinking about their own business and making money. Opportunities for circularity are different. Also, a different mindset should be in place. But let's come back to our last question. So Naoya, you go first. Do you believe that companies, even from very different industries, will increasingly collaborate in the future to drive innovation and tackle global changes? How do you see your collaboration with Aquafil contributing to this shift?
Well, absolutely yes, and we need more cooperation to tackle the sustainable, not only sustainable but global issues or sustainable challenges, because the problem itself is quite large. So no, just one company cannot solve itself. We have to make a partnership because our resources are limited. So we need a kind of other partners or kind of colleagues to tackle the global issues. So yeah, we don't analyze the issue itself. Then we have to identify what is the kind of feasible solution with others when we collaborate. Then if we give as a combining an integration of the expertise, then we can find a new way which is totally different from what we did in the past as an industry, or sometimes beyond the industry. Then we have to establish a new scheme, sometimes a new supply chain. Then yeah, we have to align and how we can, find the solution to tackle with that. So when it comes to this partnership with Aquafil, I think we are in a same industry, in chemical industry. We both produce the plastics. So we can say it's a kind of a competitor in some cases, but now we have to, look at the same direction in a sustainable ways. We have to, even in a competitors or even in the same, market, we have to make a partnership to tackle the, global challenges or in a sustainable solutions. So that is the essential part. So which is never happened maybe in the past, but now we need to collaborate with others regardless of what we did and what is in the history. So that we have to zero-based thinking. Then we have to find what is the appropriate partner to tackle these issues. So that is a essential part to solve and also move forward the sustainable issues as well as the global challenges.
Great. What about you, Nico?
Yeah, I think we can learn a lot from other value chains as well. We had a recent exchange. We have a good cooperation, for instance, with a mattress production company and brand, which is called Alping. It's a Dutch brand who have the same kind of eco-design philosophy as we have very similar challenges as we have. So in terms of, for instance, regulation, there's all kind of in Europe, if you talk about the abbreviations like the S.p.A, but also all kind of EPR legislation coming up, and but also in terms of how do you close the loop, where do you recycle your materials, which materials do you select? They have. So it's a completely different value chain. The mattress value chain is very different from the carpet value chain, but their challenges and their vision is very, very similar to ours. And what struck us in exchanges with them is that the way how they talk and the way how they look for solutions is identical to what we are doing. So it was and it is very inspiring to exchange views with others in other value chains that have exactly the same challenges as we have. Because selling carpet in the market and trying to get it back and having it recycled is not that very different from having a mattress in the market doing the same, right? So from that point of view, I see a lot in cross sector fertilization on these type of topics. And the same I see happening with Aquafil, because as already mentioned, your world is chemistry, and that's your expertise. Our world is producing carpets. So content-wise, there's not a lot of synergies you would expect. But indeed, if you want to move from linear to circular, the cooperation between our companies is extremely important, because if we produce products that you cannot recycle in 10 years from now, yeah, then it's all useless. Then you can forget about circularity. So for me, essential that you are, and that means you need to be able to talk across your own discipline, right? Because you need to talk a different language, because the world of a chemist company is different from the world of a carpet company. So talking that language and partnership management as a competence, I think is going to be a growing important competence for companies that want to be circular.
I agree with both of you, but what we have to take into consideration is another player in this game, which are the consumers. Because if we don't have people on board, we can innovate, we can do a lot of initiatives together, making sure that our products will be recognizable in the future. But if they don't cooperate and somehow they are educated about what we are doing and they cooperate just to collect things, put them in the right place, I think this is a losing game. So, of course, partnerships with businesses are very, very, very important. A key factor in succeeding in this, let's say, game is to have all people, all consumers on board. So I think that I finished all my questions. I know that we received some questions in our chat line. So Mario, please, can you share with us the questions that we received?
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, thank you very much for your insights. We have some questions from the audience. I will start with a question sent by Matthias, who's asking, how much % do you expect is currently going through the recycling route and not ending up in landfill or incineration? Who wants to answer on this? Do you have some specific data about this matter?
Well, for carpet, there are data available, and the numbers are not nice, I can tell you. So at this point, I wouldn't say 100%, but it gets close to 95% of the product ends up. And then in Europe, there's a lot of incineration happening. In the US, still a lot goes in landfill. So sadly enough, you simply dump everything under the ground. That's and in Europe we burn it, and that's the reality of today. I mean, let's face it. Everybody talks about sustainability, circularity, and what have you. The reality is still very, very bad, and there's still a lot of work to be done. So, also anybody saying they're already there, I find hard to believe, because this is a long journey, and we need a few people that show the way and show how that can work. But indeed, the recycling numbers at this point are at a very low figure.
I see. I answered the question from the Japanese perspective, because each country have a different recycling rate. But in Japan, we don't have much about the landfill. I think it's less than 10%. So we recycle in some way more than close to 90%. But actually, half of them are kind of summer recycling, which is a kind of burnout. But we take some, energies or heat from that plastic itself. But there are many discussions and depend on the definition of what is a recycling means. So in some definitions, some recycling is not a part of recycling. So we should use chemical recycling or mechanical recycling, which is recycling. But some recycling is not a kind of some recovery or something. In that definition, then our Japanese recycling rate is less than 50%. Yeah.
Thank you, Nico, and thank you, Naoya. And thank you, Matthias, for sending the question. We have one more from your side, which is, don't you need a collaboration with waste management companies or even EPR, which is Extended Producer Responsibility Schemes, to organize the take back and logistics of end-of-life carpet collection? Again, I don't know who wants to take on this one. Matthias didn't have.
No, as it is
Nico,
carpet, I will take this one. Can you repeat again? So, do we need EPR for it? Was that the question?
Yes, sure. So the question is, don't you need a collaboration with waste management companies or even EPR to organize the take back and logistics of end-of-life carpet collection?
Okay. Well, yes, for sure we need partners in logistics, because that's definitely not our cup of tea and not our expertise. And we have these discussions ongoing. So for sure, so that's absolutely a yes. Do we need an EPR scheme? Depends how it's being implemented. I see two disadvantages of EPR, so extended producer responsibility. One is it typically takes too long to establish them, because as an industry, you want to have an industry solution, or you need to wait until legislation comes in, and that's different sometimes per country, which is rather complicated. The only thing when EPR can work is when it's eco-modulated, as they call it. Basically, that means that when you sell carpet in the market, which is fully recyclable, that you pay a much lower EPR fee than products which are non-recyclable. So there needs to be a differentiation in the market between the good and the not so good products, I would say, also financially. So there needs to be a financial incentive for companies like us in order to be successful financially with such an eco product. And that's not in place in many cases right now for EPR scheme. And in that case, I don't really believe in EPR. But the moment we differentiate between products and the recyclability of products, definitely that's going to be the future. Yeah.
In any case, I think that the EPR are, yes, they can present some disadvantages, but this is the effort to make the industry, doing something for the end of life, of their products. There are some good examples already working in the States. California, for example, probably it's the only states in USA. But still, it seems it's working. It's just a matter to understand how to apply it. As Nico said, unfortunately, in Europe, we have, a different way to apply this kind of EPR scheme. France, for example, started 2 years ago, and they are a little bit struggling because. Yes, waste management companies should be taken into consideration in order to understand how to collect, how to separate and sort all this material and find a different, way of recycling, reuse, and so on. But without the legislation in place, I think that companies will, move on with business as usual. So somehow, I think that if we want things happen, money should be involved. That's the only way industries, people, governments can do something. Otherwise, if they don't somehow force you to pay for the end of life of your products, okay, nothing happens.
Maybe to add to that, Maria, because I fully agree with what you're saying, euros make the difference, absolutely, to make people shift. At the same time, what I like about the EU legislation right now is that you have, of course, EPR is basically at the end, making sure that product comes back. But the ESPR, Eco Design for Sustainable Products Regulation, is working at the beginning to make sure that you are simply not allowed anymore in Europe to put things on the market which are not designed in the right way. And of course, that will take a long road to have that well defined. I also understand that. But I truly believe that eco design should be mandatory for products, including repairability, refurbishability, all these elements. And if you do eco design very well, actually you don't need an EPR at the end, because
Indeed.
there will be high value products at the end which have a value anyway, right? So if you tackle things from the start in the right way, that will make a big difference. But again, that will take some time to have that implemented, but that's hopefully the road we will take.
Yeah. In any case, you are absolutely right. Eco-design is the beginning of everything, because if you eco-design or design with the end in mind, it means that your products will have both materials with value at the end of its useful life and a place to be. So that's the main goal that we have to achieve. It will take some time, yes, but still, in the meantime, we need to figure out, let's say, other solutions in order to avoid sending products to landfill or incineration. But still, it's important.
Thank you for answering. Naoya, I don't know if you have anything specific on this matter. Otherwise, I will move on with the other questions since we have 5 minutes left, so we can make the most of the time.
I think this question is a little bit the carpet, so Nico already covered.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So Naoya, we have a question for you, which is asking, does Asahi Kasei want to sell only nylon 6 to 3D printers or deal with nylon 66?
Sorry, nylon with CNF, but we do not disclose what kind of nylon it is. So it's kind of could be combination, or there is some depend on the grade. So yeah, I only say the nylon with CNF. So we do not. We have some business with the nylon only 6.6. This is a different, totally different business, just a resin business. But in this presentation, we set a 3D printing application, which means that the polyamide or nylon with CNF.
Okay. Thank you, Naoya. Thank you very much. Now a question for Nico. New Web is asking, you're saying that object carpet can be open about construction and material use because your designs are protected by patents. Is the company open to license patents to let competitor access circular construction technology?
Thanks for that question, because that's exactly what we like to do. We have invested heavily in this new technology, and we're very open to others using that technology as well. So anybody interested in using our technology or using our design is absolutely invited to come over to Krefeld in Germany to see for themselves how that works. And we can be, again, very open about what we do. Because indeed the essential things, they have been protected, and we are very much willing to license it out. Yeah. By the way, that's not just because we like doing that. There's also definitely a business rationale where we simply say we are a middle-sized carpet player, and we cannot change this industry alone. We are too small to change the world of carpet. So we need 3, 4, 5 front runners in the market that are basically going to tip the market in the right direction. So that's why we like to bundle our efforts with other players, not being alone, but do that together with the others.
Thank you, Nico, and thank you to New Wave for the question. That's great news. I guess we have time for one last question. Don't worry, because later I will tell you how to deal with the other ones. The question is from Raquel, who's asking Naoya, do you import from other countries textiles to recover your main materials?
Is it a question to me, or textile sounds like a carpet?
No, it's probably Naoya, because if I understood correctly, the bio-based part are related to cotton. So maybe that was the textile part Raquel was meaning. Maybe.
Oh, I see. Okay. Our CNF is cotton rinters, which is used for a process for the. So if I understand correctly, our material itself is a kind of waste. We're in the process of a cotton seed oil. So they would like to take an oil from it. Then the byproduct is our feedstocks. So we use the waste from the oil processing in parts. So we make it as a feedstocks. So we import from the byproduct from the oil industry. Then we use it as a material. So I hope I can answer to your question.
And now, yeah, just for my understanding, you cannot use cotton from textile industry. You cannot use old-fashioned waste cotton, for instance, for your products. Is that a direction ever thought of?
Okay. Cotton rinter is a different one. So we use a cotton rinter, not cotton. So it is totally different stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for the explanation, and thank you, Raquel, for the question. We have time just for one last question, which is sent from Miguel. Miguel is asking, what cooperative programs or support schemes do major companies like Aquafil, Object Carpet, and Asahi Kasei offer for startups working on PA recycling? I guess it's a question to all our speakers.
I think that at the moment, we don't have any major program to work with startups. We are open, of course. It depends on the type of polyamide 6 this person is working on with their startup. But still, we can see what we can do together. So it's a little bit too generic as a question in order to give a proper answer. But okay, we can maybe understand that together what they are doing in their own business as a startup and see if a collaboration can happen.
Mario, the same is true for us. I mean, if anybody, so we have certain experience with regards to eco-design and also of closing the loop, also for polyamide. So if anybody's interested to learn how we have gone through that journey, then please reach out to us, and always happy just to, of course, we can always have a team session to exchange our views or meet each other in Krefeld at our plant. I mean, that door is always open to for others also to learn from the journey we have been through.
Thank you, Nico. Naoya, you want to add something?
Well, I also say they're open to discuss any, just maybe reach out and contact to, some of the panelists or, Marios, then we can, we'd like to see what kind of business opportunity or business corporations, beyond these seminars. So yeah, that's great.
Okay. Thank you very much for the answers. Thank you also for all the questions. I see that there are still some messages which have been sent, but actually we ran out of time, so we don't have the opportunity to go through them now. Please don't worry. You can send all your questions or comments to an email address you will soon see in our chat. It's webinar@aquafil.com. And rest assured that we will get back to you with some insights or answers to your questions. So thank you once again to all the speakers, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope you found this webinar interesting. And as always, I would like to remind you that we will be soon releasing 2 new podcast episodes. In one, we will dive deep into the aquaculture sector, exploring how partnership and an emerging ISO are making it more conscious, while in the other, we will explore circularity in fashion. So remember to look out for our next newsletter, where you will know when and where you can tune in. Once again, thank you all for your time and participation, and we look forward to seeing you in the future webinars. Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.